Hi everyone, welcome back to today's video. For today, we're going to be making this super fun greeting card using our Nothing's Better Than stamp set. I love this stamp set. It is so cute with all of the little images on it, and the greetings and the greeting sentiments, whatever you want to call them, are fantastic. I love the one that I ended up using today. It's actually two stamps. Obviously, you guys will see that in a little bit. But what I ended up using today says cocktails because adulting is hard, which is totally true, and it's snarky, and I love it. So I'm just in love with this card. And I made my own background paper, which if you guys have been here before, you guys know I love to make my own background paper. So I am just completely obsessed. So let's get into what we need for this project. So the first thing, like I already mentioned, is the Nothing's Better Than stamp set. This stamp set is in a bundle in the catalog. It coordinates with the Love You More Than dies. So you can purchase these two together. I'm not going to be using the dies today. We're going to be using a different set of dies, which we'll talk about in just a second. But this one is really good. So like the coffee cookies, cocktails, and chocolate, I believe all four of those are in a script that you can cut out with the dies, and then also all of the little images, you can cut those out as well. So it's a really good die set to have. I just decided not to use it for today. I wanted to go for a little bit of a different look. So that's the stamp set we're going to be using. The dies that we're going to be using are the Hippo and Friends dies. So these actually coordinate with the, what is it, Hippo Happiness? Yes, Hippo Happiness stamp set. Those two come together in a bundle, but I loved the frames that are in this die set, so I just really wanted to use it, if I'm being totally honest. So that's why we're using this one today, but you can use any kind of frames that you want. You don't even have to use a frame die if you didn't want to. You could just cut out some rectangles. So I'm going to be using this, but there are definitely some other options depending on what you have in your collection. As far as ink goes, we're going to be using 4 different shades of ink. So first and foremost, we're going to be using our Stays On Jet Black. We're going to also be using Magenta Madness, Daffodil Delight, and Coastal Cabana. I love these 3 colors together. I just kind of, so I actually have this swatch book, and maybe one day I'll show you guys, or I'll post about it on my blog. I've had it for probably, I don't know, a few months now. I created it a few months back, and it's really nice because I can use it to kind of see what colors I want to kind of pick and coordinate with each other, and then from there I can grab the actual stamp pads and make sure that it is actually what I want. So that's what I did. I just started kind of grabbing colors that I thought would be fun for this because I knew I wanted bright colors, and I really love these 3 together. So this may be my current favorite color combination, although that does change like every single week or every time I sit down to design some new projects. So I mean, I don't know if that's saying much, but if you haven't used these 3 colors together, you should, because they are fantastic. On to paper. So there's like a little hodgepodge of what we need here today. So first and foremost, we have just a scrap of Magenta Madness. So as normal, this is just needed to cut out a little frame. Next, I have 2 pieces of Whisper White. So one is just a scrap for the frames again, and then the other is cut at 5 inches by 3 3/4. I have a couple pieces of basic black. Again, 1 scrap for a frame, and then the other is cut at 5 1/4 by 4 inches. I have my standard size card base, which is cut at 8 1/2 by 5 1/2 and scored at 4 1/4, and this is in Coastal Cabana. The only other thing that I would recommend you guys having on hand, just because it makes this project a little bit easier, is this is our Simply Chamois. So all this is this little chamois guy, and you can see I've used mine quite a bit, and you get it wet, and it makes it really easy, so you don't have to completely clean your stamps. You can just get some of the ink off using this guy, and because we're going to be doing a bunch of different colors on our background, it makes it a lot easier to switch out colors between, or to clean off your stamps between colors while you're stamping. It'll make more sense when we actually get to it, I swear. But you don't have to have this. It's not an essential, but it does make life a little bit easier. And then I just keep mine in, this is an old stamp case. I think I had a stamp that I was getting rid of. And I just took the sheet out, like with the pictures and stuff. I took that out and I just store it in here. It does dry out, so if yours dries out, all you need to do is go run it under some warm water and it'll come right back to life. Keeping it in the stamp case doesn't keep it from drying out, but it does just make it really easy to store so it's not kind of flopping all over the place. So I'm going to be using this. Like I said, I'll show you guys how I use it, but it's totally not an essential. It just makes it a little bit easier to create this project. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, so we're going to start by doing all of our stamping on our background piece, just because it's like the best part of the video. And so I just want to start doing that. So I have my piece of Whisper White. I also just have a sheet. It's actually half of a sheet of our grid paper. I am going to be using this because we're going to be doing a little bit of a stamping off of our sheet. So I like to have it to protect my work surface. I used to use just like the full sheets, and I found that like I just don't need to. So I've been cutting them in half, and it's been working really well for me. There are definitely some projects, like when I did my rainbow card, that having a full sheet definitely helps and is useful. But for this, just this little half sheet works perfectly. And I don't know why I just went on a little tangent about cutting your sheets in half, but I did. So there we are. In addition to that, we're going to be using 4 stamps right now. So the first one is the little drink stamp, and it's a little outline. And then there are these 3 other stamps, and I'll put them on the white so hopefully you can see them a little bit better. So there's like the inner part of the drink that has a couple ice cubes. There's like a half moon, which is actually the inner of the like little lime or lemon wedge that's on the side of the cup. And then this little fun guy that's actually the fan that's like the little umbrella that's in the drink. So those are the 4 stamps we're going to be using. I'm going to start out using the outline, but the 3 here we'll be using a lot of those in a second. So I'm going to take my StazOn, and we're just going to open this guy up, and I'm going to put him off to the side. And I'm just going to go and have at it and stamp away a bunch of these little images along my piece of Whisper White. So oh, I don't know why I'm having such a hard time with words today. I will say I did just recently come back from vacation, and it's been a while since I filmed a video because I pre-filmed my last 2 projects because I knew I was going to be on vacation. So I guess it's just like coming back and not knowing how to speak on film. I don't know. Anyway, if you haven't ever seen me make, or anyone really in general do their own designer series paper by by stamping an image repeated on a background. What you want to do, it's really easy. Honestly, I would say don't think too much about it. I think that's, for me at least, that's when I start to struggle, is when I try to think too much about it. Just go for it and see what happens and see what you come up with. And some things are going to work and other things aren't going to work, and that's totally okay. I think the biggest piece of advice I would give is make sure you just continuously rotate your stamp. Fill in the little edges with, like I just did here, with just a little sliver of the stamp, right? Don't be too concerned about having to get the entire stamp in every single time, because it's not needed. You don't need to do it. And really just go for it and have at it. Like I said, my biggest tip with doing this technique is constantly turning the orientation of your stamp so that you get a lot of diversity with how the images are on the paper. That's really what's going to make it look phenomenal, is where you have some difference in your images. So that's it. I just went around and I stamped everything. I'm going to look to see. I think this spot up here looks a little bare to me. So I'm just going to, again, stamp a little sliver right there. And I think that works for me. So I'm going to put my StazOn away. We are going to need that again here in just a few minutes. But for the time being, I don't need it. So I'm going to put it out of the way so that I don't put my fingers in it. So next, it's going to be doing all of the fun stamping with all of our different colors. So I have my Coastal Cabana, my Daffodil Delight, and my Magenta Madness. So what I'm going to start off by doing is taking the stamp here that has, it's like the inner part of the drink with the little ice cubes. And I'm just going to pick Coastal Cabana because it's on my left. And I'm just going to start going in and stamping the inner bits of these drinks. And now I'm not going to, again, I'm not trying not to think too much about it. I do like to kind of space colors out. I don't want like two blue ones right next to each other. So I'm thinking about that as I'm doing this. But other than that, I'm not really thinking too much about it. I'm just kind of doing it and seeing what I come up with. So I think that's okay for right now. So this is where the chamois comes into place. So instead of having to get everything out and really clean my stamp, I can just kind of wipe it on here. I do like a little test stamp on my piece to make sure that I don't have any residual ink. And then I'm going to go in with my next color. I think the next color I'm actually going to use is Magenta Madness because I do like this color. It pops a lot, so I want it to be prevalent. I want to make sure that I have a good number of drinks in this color. And so again, I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, see where I want my next one to go, not think too much about it. I'm actually going to do this one right here. I'm going to do that one yellow, and then I'm going to do this one here as well. And then let's do this one up here in pink. And I'm not worried about making sure that they have the same number or anything like that. My biggest thing is that I don't have two colors that are right next to each other, two of the same color, I'm sorry, that are right next to each other. So then I'm going to go in with my yellow, and I'm going to stamp these, and there's not many to stamp of this and the yellow, which is totally fine. And I think that is it. I'm just doing it a once over to make sure I don't need this stamp anymore, and I don't think I do. So next I'm gonna go with, I guess I'll go with the little half moon that's like the lime or lemon or whatever. And I'm gonna start with my Coastal Cabana again, and for my so the wedges, the citrus wedges that I'm doing in Coastal Cabana are the pink drinks. So I'm just going to start popping them in there, and I'm just looking for any of my pink drinks and stamping away. And like this one, I'm going to say this was a yellow glass. This one we'll say was a yellow glass, so we don't need to do those. So I think that is it. So again, just get my chamois, wipe it off. Yellow is going to be on my blue drinks. Now I'm cheating because I have my sample project that I did right over here. But to kind of get to this point, I just kind of did some trial and error. I looked to see what colors I thought went well together, and then I just kind of played with it and I went with it. There's no rhyme or reason behind it, honestly. I just kind of did it and saw what I got at the end. That's really it. And then for the pink wedge, that's going to be all of the yellow glasses. So that would be this one down here. This one, you can barely see it, but there's a little sliver right there. There's one right there in front of my face. And I think that's it. So we're done with that one. And now we're going to go on to the little umbrella. So I did it where for one image I used every color and then I rotated them. So for the Coastal Cabana, the Coastal Cabana is going to have, oh my gosh, I cannot talk. I don't know what is wrong with me. Where I'm using Coastal Cabana for the umbrella color is on the yellow because I did a yellow glass, a pink wedge, and now it's going to be the, sorry, my oven's preheating. I don't know if you guys heard that or not, but if you did, that's what it was. And so the Coastal Cabana is going to be the umbrella here for the yellow drinks. So I said this one was going to be yellow, and I think this one's going to be yellow. I think that's it. So again, just taking my chamois, wiping it off, and then for the yellow, these are going to be on the pink drinks. So again, this is super fast, and the thing that I really like about this stamp set, as I just totally messed that one up, is that you don't have to be super precise with it and it still looks really, really good. Like you can see, I'm not really getting it super precise on any of these that I'm stamping, and they still look really, really nice. It still gives you a nice, clean, cohesive image, which I really enjoy. And then the last one I'm going to do is the pink umbrella, and those go on the blue drinks. I think we can do this one up here, but there's not really any color there. And I think that is it. So I'm going to set that off to the side as well. And that's it. It's literally that simple to create this fun background. So I'm going to close up all of my ink pads before I stick my gunky fingers in them. I'm going to take this guy and set it off to the side again so I don't get it all dirty. And now put that to the side as well. Now I just want to finish up my stamping, and then we're going to do all of our cutting and put this bad boy together, and we're going to be done. So next we are going to use the stamps that say cocktails, and then the one that says because adulting is hard. So what I found is that I liked to, for this particular stamps, or these particular stamps I should say, I liked to put the frame down onto my piece and then stamp into my frame. So I'm going to start with the bottom piece that says because adulting is hard. It just seems easier to me. I don't know why. There's no real rhyme or reason behind it. It just seemed easier to me. So I'm going to use this and just stamp it down. Now because I'm, because of the sentiment, I'm going to stamp cocktails on top. You want to make sure that you're putting this on the bottom portion of your piece of paper. But other than that, I mean, it's very forgiving. And then I'm going to grab my Daffodil Delight again. And I'm going to use this for the word cocktails. And that I'm just going to put right above what I just stamped. And I think doing it that way just makes it a little bit easier to line up and to get the spacing correct. It just kind of helped me because it's a longer die. It just helped me, I guess, to make sure I had everything lined up correctly. Like I said, it's been a few weeks since I've stamped, so that could also be it. It just seemed to work well for me for this project. So now we're going to take this, our scrap of Magenta Madness, and our scrap of Basic Black. I should have mentioned, so these are the little frames from the, what is it, Hippo and Friends? Yes, Hippo and Friends dies. There are 3 of them, and we're using all 3 sizes today. So the smallest one is going to be for our Whisper White with our sentiment. The middle is going to be for Magenta Madness, and the largest one is going to be Basic Black. So let me grab, I'm actually going to move these out of the way. I'm going to grab my Big Shot. Ooh, I'm knocking stuff over on the other side of my desk. And I'm going to try to put all of these in to crank them all through at the same time. We will see how successful I am with that. We'll do this one this way. My Basic Black should be able to go right there. See, look at that. Multitasking. Oops, scooch that one over just a hair. And start cranking it through. I don't like the placing of this. I want it down just a hair. I think I moved it a little bit. Okay, that looks good. Crank it through. Pull all of these off. And now it's literally just time to start assembling this card. So I'm going to get all of these pieces and we'll assemble this first just because we have it. So I'm going to be using my Stampin' Seal to put all of these pieces together. I am in some Facebook groups related to stamping and Stampin' Up! And multiple groups, and I was seeing a lot of people having a hard time with Stampin' Seal. I personally haven't had much trouble with it, but I remember using our old Fast Fuse, and this reminds me a lot of Fast Fuse. So if you're having some issues with your Stampin' Seal working correctly, 2 things that I would say. First thing is there's a little wheel here, and I wish I could zoom in on this camera, but it's not really going to work very well. So I'm going to try my best to explain this in the event that you can't really see it. So there's a little wheel here. It's a little gray wheel, and then you have your film that goes over it that has your adhesive on it. There are 2 things that I recommend if you're having a difficult time getting your Stampin' Seal to work. The first thing is take your finger and just tap right on the top of the wheel. So if you are holding it like this, perpendicular to this. Just tap and see if you feel some stickiness. If you don't, you can just put your finger on it and force it to roll back, and that brings the sticky part of the film up to where you're going to start to use it. The second thing that I find is that the film kind of slips off the wheel from time to time. If that happens, this one isn't doing that right now, so I can't really show you, but I might be able to in a minute. If that happens, all you have to do is take your finger and pull it back onto the wheel. It's really easy to do, and then you can start going again. So I just noticed a few people were posting things in some groups that I'm in, and so I figured I'd just take a second to talk to you guys about that in case you're experiencing the same issues. So that being said, I am now going to do this. The other thing is you have to make sure you check it. I know I talked about that in a video before, I believe, and you just want to make sure you check it so that you get a clean release with your adhesive. So this one's going to go on top of the Magenta Madness, and then Magenta Madness is going to go on top of Basic Black. Just like that. We're going to set that off to the side. I'm going to bring in my piece of our specialty designer series paper. And it's specialty because we made it. Oh, see, so you can kind of see here that the film is off of the wheel. All you have to do is take your finger and pull it back on, pull it up a bit to make sure the adhesive is there ready to go, and then you can keep working. So we're going to take our piece of designer series paper that we made, and we're going to stick this down onto our other piece of Basic Black, like so. I'm going to bring in my card base first, and we're going to take all of this and put it down onto our card base. I'm concentrating, that's why I got really quiet. Then I'm going to take our little sentiment, I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to just put a bunch of dimensionals on the back of it because I want it popped up. And take all the backings off of these guys, maybe. I did think you could think about it. You could probably use our foam adhesive sheets and run your piece of Basic Black through that. Personally, I think it might be a little bit of a waste of a foam adhesive sheet, but if you wanted to try it to get like a cohesive piece, you absolutely could. And now I'm just going to put that on top of there. Grab my bone folder. Give this a nice crease, and that's it. That is the project for today. So I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. As always, you can purchase any of the products that I talked about today 24/7 just by going to littlemooncreation.stampinup.net. You can also see all of the products that I use and a little bit of a longer description about the project in the coordinating blog post, which is the first link in the description box below. Or you can just visit littlemooncreation.com to see all the fun stuff that I have going on over there. So I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!